Learning Spanish takes a long time. As any other language, it is hard for us to learn something completely new, something that we have never seen, and it is completely different to what we are used to learn, what we are used to do. And during this period that we are learning this new language, that we are studying very hard, we are trying very hard, we do everything, we start to work with a teacher, we download any application we found on the internet, and we do everything that we think or everything that we find to learn this beautiful language that is Spanish. But there is always a moment when we feel really frustrated, when we feel no motivation and we just want to stop or at least take a time. So what to do in these cases when we feel so frustrated without any motivation and don't feel like to continue learning, don't feel like to keep our routine, don't feel like to keep what we are doing? Well, for this, there are different things that we can do, and there are different reasons that you are feeling this right now. One of the reasons is the frustration. The other one is that you don't feel motivated anymore and then you feel stuck, which is pretty much the same as frustration. So when we feel frustrated to learn, or we feel that we are not learning as much as we want, we have to keep in mind that this will take a long time for us. And you have to focus on short-term goals and long-term goals. As for example, if you're new at this, you're just starting to learn Spanish, maybe 1 month, 2, 3, or even 4 months more or less. And you've been working on Spanish very hard, you've been trying, and you for some reason feel frustrated right now. This is what you have to do. First of all, you have to find new goals and easy things and easy little steps that you must take from now on that will make you realize how hard you've been working on this and make you realize that you are indeed improving, that you are indeed achieving goals. As for example, you just started, you only know present tense, and now you feel this frustration. And right now, your new goal is to start learning at least a few super basic phrases in past tense. As for example, the most common verbs of all: the verb to go, have, the verb to be, the verb can, etc. So you must focus on these 4 verbs and try to learn, or at least try to practice them in past tense. So this is your little goal. You must focus on these 4 verbs, practice them in this past tense, and try to learn these 4 verbs with specific sentences that are super useful for you and you will use a lot. As for example, you should try to learn for these 4 verbs the following 4 different tenses. For example, ir, went, right? In English, it would be: I went to the supermarket yesterday. Ayer yo fui al supermercado. Try to memorize this, okay? Ayer yo fui. So now you know that I went is yo fui al supermercado. Okay, yo fui. Then with the verb to be, remember that we have 2 different verbs to be, estar and ser. So you can memorize these 2 verbs in past tense and practice them with different sentences. For example, my trip to Argentina was amazing. It would be: mi viaje a Argentina fue genial. Another one with the verb estar: I was at work yesterday all day. Yo estuve todo el día en el trabajo ayer. Let's do one more and then we continue with the other tips and advice. The last one is tener. Tener in past tense, it will be yo tuve or vos tuviste, etc. You can study this, you can look up this later. As for example, you could say: yo tuve un amigo argentino cuando era nene. I had an Argentinian friend when I was a kid. So this is an example of a little goal. This is an example of a goal that you have to have in the short term to keep that motivation and to realize that indeed you're still learning and indeed you're still improving in this path, in this way of learning Spanish. As for example, I just told you to memorize this, but you can have a different goal with this. Like just with these 4 words, you will try to use them in real life context. You will try to go out and talk with Latinos in your city or try to talk with people here in Argentina and use them in real life context. So this is an amazing example on how you can make these little goals. But also, you can also try to keep, for example, in the short term, the next month, or you would like to achieve this in 2 months or 3, you would like to have a conversation in Spanish about any random topic or anything for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 15 minutes, just with your Spanish, with someone, with a real native in Argentina, with a real Latino friend that you have. That's an amazing goal, and I think it's awesome. And this is the first thing that I have in my mind when I learn a new language, as I did in the past. And every time that I start to do something new, every time that I start to learn a new language, which is something I really love, I have these little goals. I always have this, and I always tell all my students to have these little goals, to have goals in the short term and the long term. In the long term, you can have a totally different goal. For example, I want to live in Argentina next year. So for next year, I will have an amazing Spanish that will make me very happy and I will speak with everyone no matter what. Okay, so you have to keep in mind that and be positive. I know that it's hard sometimes to keep this positive mind because you need it right now and you cannot wait anymore. But remember this, you will feel this frustration 100 more times, and then after you've been working on your Spanish a lot, one day you will overcome. You will leave frustration behind you because you have an amazing Spanish. But the only way to do that, if you start having little goals, if you start having short-term goals, long-term goals, and working on your Spanish a lot with native speakers, but you have to put in time. Okay, so you had to work on this a lot. Now, on the other hand, if you are someone who right now feels stuck, who right now feels like in a plateau, is a famous concept or terminology that we use with languages, which is the intermediate plateau. This is for someone who already has a very good level of Spanish, more or less been working over a year. It's basically when you find easy things and hard things at the same time, but you don't really find things that are at your level right now. And also, it is hard to you to find easy and hard content at the same time. So you feel that you are not improving anymore. For this, there are multiple reasons. The main reason is that we are working on something, on a specific concept, on a specific topic for a long time, for that whole year, for 2 years, on exactly the same type of content or topic. And when we do that, there will be a day where you will not find any new word, any new topic, any new grammatical structure new for you. Why? Because you've been working on this for a long time and you almost consume all the Spanish, all the different grammar structures that there are in this specific topic. So what you have to do is to change topics. Stop doing what you've been doing for this time, and you gotta completely change it for anything else. For example, let's say that you're a reader, someone who loves to read fiction and in Spanish. Let's say that you've been always reading Rowling, the Harry Potter's author. So you read all her books, and right now you feel sad because you feel like you know everything about this topic in specific, about fiction. So what you can do is to replace that author for a different author, but keeping fiction, or start reading realism, for example, realismo en español o ficción en español. As for example, I would recommend you Julio Cortázar, Jorge Luis Borges, y bueno, uno inglés that you probably already know, Lovecraft. Lovecraft is not Argentinian, but the two first are indeed. So I would recommend you to read these two guys who are amazing. I love Craft too, even though he's American. But try to read it in Spanish and you will experience the level up with these new authors. Another thing that you can do, try to find new friends, try to find new people, try to speak with more real people and different people, not always the same people that you have, because everyone has a different Spanish. Everyone talks differently, everyone has a little different type of accent, little different type of singing, as we say here in Argentina. So it will be a bit harder for you to understand them, and that's the way you will learn much more with new people. Also, if you like to follow, for example, YouTubers or someone in YouTube, in Instagram, social media, etc., try to start following new people, new YouTubers. Try to listen to new podcasts. Try to stop listening to the same podcast, to the same topics, etc. Try to find new stuff that is hard, that is really different for you, and start working on that a lot, and you will see such a big improvement that you will be back here in this video. You will say, thank you, Nico, you have changed my life. And that will happen if you follow these tips. So all of these tips, all of this advice is what I have learned for over 6 years learning different languages and working as a Spanish teacher and recommending and helping many people to learn Argentinian Spanish, to learn Spanish. So this is a real life tip, something that will be very helpful for you. So I hope that you have liked this video. Please tell me what do you think of this, whether or not it is useful for you. Well, what do you do to improve your Spanish and to work on your frustration, to work in your Spanish when you don't feel like to study or just to speak Spanish. And I will really like to read all your comments and what do you think about this. So thank you very much for watching this video. Y bueno, como siempre, mucho gusto, gente, y nos vemos en otro video. Nos vemos, che.